Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're starting a bit late. For those of the people that are online with us, welcome. And those who are in the live audience, they'll be joining us, I hope, in the next few minutes. We're starting a half an hour late as it is, but they're not connected to us because the Windows decided to do an update when they turned on the computer at the library in Castleberry. And it's been working for a good half an hour or better. And so I have decided to go ahead and start the meeting. They'll be joining us in progress, and please excuse the interruption at that point. This is the Central Florida Computer Society, the Windows Special Interest Group. I call it the WinSIG. This is Sunday, October 8th, 2017. My name is Hewie Poplock. I conduct these meetings from my home in Bradenton, Florida. And the meeting is actually being presented, or supposed to be presented, to the Central Florida Computer Society audience sitting in Castleberry, Florida, about 120 miles away. They haven't quite joined us, but they'll be joining us shortly. And we did want to go ahead and get in as much of the program today as we could, as they do have a speaker coming in, and we'll be ending when their speaker is ready. So let me go ahead and close this. And these are the scheduled topics for today. The first one is watch out, major problems with the latest Windows update. Apparently it's not the latest anymore, because there's one today. One of the people online with us, Cheryl, her computer started doing a download while she was sitting here waiting with the rest of us to begin this meeting. So it may even happen to me. If it happens to me, we end up having to leave the meeting, that will be the end of the meeting. So let's go take a look at this article. And the link is on the WinSIG page. I'm going to go ahead and make the screen larger. And we can close this. And it says, watch out, major problems with this. So about 2 weeks ago, Microsoft released its monthly set patches addressing 82 issues this time. All of these patches fix security holes that can harm your computer. It is very important that you do the updates. Don't disregard them. Don't put them off, but try to get them done when you're not doing a live webinar or meeting. You want to get them done the night before, or try to, or early in the morning. And so what I always try to do is check my computer and make sure there's nothing waiting to be updated before a meeting, but sometimes Windows doesn't cooperate that way. Anyway, in Windows 10, one of the most cumulative updates for Windows 10 Creators Update was supposed to bring bug fixes, but apparently it introduced some performance issues itself. And so then there was another update issued September 25th to fix those. And then there was another one after that. So as some of these updates come about, sometimes they cause more problems than they fix. And then they have to find the fixes to them and then update them. So you might want to take a look at this article. If you're having some issues, that may be what caused it, was an update. Now, don't forget, on October 17th, the scheduled beginning of the Fall Creators Update is scheduled. It may not happen to you on the 17th as they roll it out in small groups. But when it happens, it will be another major update to your Windows. So between now and the 17th, which is about, 9 days away, I would suggest you make sure you get a good backup of your data and of your computer if possible. If you don't normally do it, you want to make sure you do. So if there's any issues or any problems, that you don't get left out in the dark and lose a lot of your important information. Free dictation software online recognizes 40 languages. Let's go to that website. I came across this website this week and I thought it was excellent. I'll make the article larger so you can read it. It's called Speech Texter. Is a web-based speech-to-text system that lets you dictate into your microphone and have your spoken words automatically recognized. And also will do several different languages. So if you speak a different language, if it's one of the ones listed, it'll actually write in that language as well. It doesn't translate. In other words, you can't speak English and have it do the translation and write the text, but it will speak the language in which you're in, long as you set it at that. So let's take a look at speechtexter.com. By the way, it does it all online. There's a button that says Start Dictating. Let's see. Can I find an article about something here? Of course not. I don't have everything handy. Let's see what this is. Okay, let's go ahead and try this. This is a paragraph I have, a piece of paper in front of me. I read the story. Oh, let's see, I got to tell it. Okay, go ahead and allow it. I hope it doesn't cut you out. I'm hoping you can still hear me. And I'll say, I read the story. No, it's not going to work with me using the microphone for what we're doing. And hopefully you can still hear me. Can somebody write in the text box that they hear me all right? And I am going to close that and go back. Okay. I am presuming you still are hearing me. Sorry about that if I coughed. Okay, loud and clear. Good. Okay, anyway, you can start talking into the microphone. You tell it to allow the microphone to work. It does work from your smartphone or your tablet or your computer because it's a website. You tell it to use your microphone. It will. And then if you need to, you can go in and you can change the language. There's 40 different languages. And it does a pretty good job of being able to translate from hearing you to typing. So some of you who aren't the best typists in the world, or you think on your feet and you like to just talk and have it right, use that website, which is right here at speechtexter.com, and just go to there and go ahead and try it. Excellent website, seems to work. Okay, Windows 10 is fragmented. Which version do you need? Another article on Windows 10. There we go. Microsoft claimed its final version of Windows is Windows 10, but it never said it'd be simple. There's a Windows 10 Home, where you find all the staples of Windows 10 inside, including Cortana and the store apps and so on. Then there's Windows 10 Pro. And then there above Pro is the business versions. And so the two that you probably will be involved with would be either Home or Pro. Pro does give you some extra items and some extra tools that you can use. And the Pro version can be updated to the Windows S, which is comparable to the Chromebook software. Home version cannot be updated to their Windows S, and I'm not sure why. You would think once you had one of them, it didn't matter and you should be able to upgrade, but they're not letting that happen. So you want to make sure which version you have when you do an update. You cannot do an update from home to Pro directly, or you can't do it the other way around from Pro to home. So you need to, when you go to do the update, you want to make sure that you know which version you have. Next item on here is what happens when you close the lid on your laptop. I know Stan wanted to be a part of this conversation, but since their computer is not ready yet, let's go ahead and talk about this a little bit and make this larger. So if you have a laptop, and most of you do these days, what happens when you close the lid? It's interesting to find out what people think about this process. Some people assume that when they close the lid, it shuts off the power to the computer. For others, all they know is when they open the lid the next time, they can just click to sign in, and they can use the computer again without having to wait for it to do a full update. The truth is, shutting the lid on your laptop can make the computer do whatever you want it to do. It's configurable. If you don't do anything or change anything in most laptops, the default setting is that the laptop goes into sleep mode when the lid is closed. For some users, that's fine. But if you want to go into the hibernate mode, or actually fully power down when you shut the lid, you can change that by making an adjustment in the power options area. To get the power options, it says Windows 7, Windows 8, and then Windows 10. Hold the Windows key down and X. So we'll do that. And go to power options. And I think we have to go to settings. Oh no, power options is right here. And power and sleep screen when plugged in, turn off after so much time. Sleep when plugged in, it will go to sleep, and then related issues. So that was if it's plugged in, and because this is not a laptop, it doesn't give the ability to if it's not plugged in, this computer doesn't work. So, but it does give you the choice in if you have a laptop, whether it's plugged in or it's not plugged in, what happens and when. And you will see that when it's plugged in, you can turn off after so much time. And then sleep, you can tell it after so much time. And then additional power settings. When you go into additional power settings, there's some plans that you have, but if you go to the plans, change plan settings, turn the display off, turn it, put the computer to sleep. And again, there's choices if you have a laptop of what happens when you close it. Do you want it to go to sleep or do you want it to hibernate? And so let's go back to the article. So that's where you make the changes. And you click on additional power changes. And here's what it will look like. Choose what closing the lid does. When you click on that, you will then get whether it's on battery or whether it's plugged in. When I close the lid, you're going to have it go to sleep, you're going to have it hibernate, or you can actually have it turn off. You usually don't want to have it turn off because you want to power things down properly. But your options are do nothing. The laptop stays fully powered even when the lid is closed. You can go to sleep mode, the hibernate mode, or shutdown. But when you tell it to shut down, it does go through the shutdown process and then completely powers off. So let's go to the next article then. Is the difference between sleep, hybrid sleep, and hibernation in Windows. And again, let's make that larger. Sleep versus hibernate versus hybrid sleep. Sleep is a power-saving state that allows a computer to quickly resume full power operation, typically within several seconds when you want to start working again. Putting your computer into sleep state is like pausing a DVD player. The computer immediately stops what it's doing and is ready to start again when you resume working. So it just stops it. It doesn't shut anything off. It doesn't save anything. It just puts it in a pause mode. And I see CFCS has joined us. I'll unmute them. Stan, you should have the microphone.
Can you hear us?
Yep.
Oh.
Can you hear me? We are recording and in process. I just want to make sure you're joining us and you can hear us.
Yes, we hear you now.
Okay, let me continue. Let me go back to the beginning of this article, which is sleep versus hibernate versus hybrid sleep. Again, sleep is the power save. It's like pausing your DVD. It stops it right then and there. It doesn't save anything. It just stops it right there. When you tell it to wake up, it takes a couple of seconds and it's right where you were. Hibernation is a power-saving state designed primarily for laptops. While sleep puts your work and settings in memory and draws a small amount of power, hibernation actually puts your open documents and programs on your hard disk. In other words, it saves what's in memory into a file. And hibernation puts your open documents and programs also on your hard disk and actually turns your computer off. Of all the power-saving states in Windows, hibernation uses the least amount of power. On a laptop, use hibernation when you know you won't use your laptop for an extended period and won't have an opportunity to charge the battery during that time. So if you're moving from room to room, you could sleep. You could put it to sleep, and then when you get to the other room, turn it back on by just taking it out of sleep, and you're ready and you're working again. But if you're going to be gone for a little bit and you want it to put it in hibernation, it actually is going to remember where you are, remember what you're doing, and then shut down. When you turn it back on, it's going to power up and say, oh, you were in the middle of something. Let me get that information and bring it back up on the screen, and this is where you were. Hybrid sleep is designed primarily for desktop computers. Hybrid sleep is a combination of sleep and hibernate. It puts any open documents and programs in memory and on your hard disk, and then puts your computer into a low power state so that you can quickly resume your work. That way, if a power failure occurs, Windows still can restore your work from your hard disk. When hybrid sleep is turned on, putting your computer into sleep automatically puts your computer into hybrid sleep. Hybrid sleep is typically turned on by default on desktop computers and off by default on laptops. So you may not have hybrid sleep on your computer. And the one thing you have to remember when you put it in any of these states, when you come back on, especially if you've moved the computer, you may not have internet for a couple of reasons. One, when you shut down or you pause it, the internet no longer is functioning, you may lose it. And if you actually shut down, you've got to reconnect. And sometimes it doesn't reconnect automatically, and you're going to have to somehow get back to getting your internet if what you were in the process of doing was on the internet. So bear in mind that sleep and hibernation don't always guarantee you're going to start up exactly where you left off if you've lost the internet and what you were doing was on the internet. And of course, shutting down your computer, everything closes down your programs, and and then you can shut off safely, and all of your data will be saved if you've requested it to. And then when you start up, you have to start the programs and so on all over again. Okay, any questions on that? I don't see any anything in the chat box. Stan, anything on the floor from that?
Any thoughts? I've not done much with the hybrid. Have you?
No, I don't even recall seeing it.
Likewise, I'll have to experiment. All. Oh, I'm not sure. Maybe the hybrid is just on 10. But
The hybrid is for desktop computers, though, either way, and a lot of you have laptops, so you probably don't even see it. Okay, let's get back to the articles. I have gotten down, for those of you who are at the live meeting, when I post the rest of the meeting, when I post the whole meeting, you'll be able to go back and pick up those first. So, do you shut down, sleep, or hibernate your PC? And that's another article dealing with the same information. So let's take a look at that article. This is actually from Microsoft. And make it larger. We don't need the virtual agent. Okay, I hope that goes away. Shut down, sleep, or hibernate your PC. Turn off your PC completely to shut down. It tells you how to do it. Hit the start button and then select power and shut down. And then, of course, it tells you on 8.1 and 7. Sleep. This uses very little power. Your PC starts up faster, and you're instantly back to where you left off. By the way, if you put your computer to sleep, close the lid, and then travel and go home, it's using power. It's using the battery. So the battery is going to have less power when you get to where you're going. And if you leave it for a long period of time, like overnight, you forget, or you don't turn it on again when you get home, when you wake up in the morning, it's liable to be, the battery's liable to be drained because it is using power. For a lot of PCs, especially laptops and tablets, your PC goes to sleep when you close your lid. And again, that can be changed with a setting under the power options. Hibernate, this option was designed for laptops. That might not be available and might not be available for all PCs. For instance, PCs with Instant Go don't have the hibernate option. Hibernate uses less power than sleep, and when you start the PC again, you're back to where you left off, though not as fast as sleep. Use hibernation when you know that you won't use your laptop or tablet for an extended period or won't have an opportunity to charge the battery during that time. First, check to see if the option is available on your PC, and if it is, turn it on. And again, they've got how to do that, and you do that in the power options. And it tells you now you can do either one of those. Long as we're doing this and talking about shutting down and so on, and I have talked about this before, is to shut down, and again, make this larger. Here's how to create a restart button or a shutdown button, and the one I use is this one. Well, we're going to just for shutdown. This information right here, it's in yellow, and I'll highlight it. Copy and paste. Copy that. Create a new shortcut on your desktop. Paste that into it. Give it a name as Shutdown, and then save it as a shortcut. Then what you do is go into the right mouse click on it, go to the properties, and change the icon to, I change it to this one right here. But you can change it to whatever one you want, because you'll get a whole bunch of icons will open up, and you can choose which one you want to have show, and then tell it to save it. And then from now on, it'll say Shutdown, it'll have that icon, and when you double click it from your desktop, it will start the shutdown process and shut your computer down. I use that on all my PCs, and I don't have to go looking. I don't have to click on anything other than that one button to shut down the computer. It just makes it a lot easier. And again, that article is this one to here. And then if you want to just log out or you want to restart, you can create one for each of these. And then if you just want to lock the computer, in other words, make it so you have to sign in again, you can use that and create a button for it as well. Okay, why it matters whether your Windows is 32-bit or 64-bit. Number one is when you do the update, you really need to know which one you have. But why is it important to have a 64-bit, for instance, as opposed
Windows
to
10 spends a lot of time tracking you, but the Creators Update gives you...
Sorry about that. So one thing I don't like about the PC World website, they always have a video that starts automatically. Okay, Ken wrote in that he loves PC World Natural. Okay, he wants to know the difference between 32-bit and 64-bit operating systems. And so you can go in and look at your system and your control panel and system, or whether yours is a 32-bit. Windows tells you which one you have. In addition to noting the type of operating system you're using, it also displays whether you're using a 64-bit processor, which is required to run a 64-bit Windows. So unless you have a really old PC, and it'd have to be over 10 years old, you should have a 64-bit processor. But even having a 64-bit processor doesn't guarantee that you installed the 64-bit operating system. You may have the 32-bit. Depends on how long ago you installed it and then what you did on the updates. Okay, once you know what you have, does it matter? It could matter a lot depending upon how you use your PC. The biggest difference between a 32-bit and 64-bit operating system is the 32-bit version can only address a bit less than 4 gigabytes of memory. So if you have a computer that's got 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM and you're running a 32-bit operating system, it's not going to see all of the RAM. It's only going to see just under 4 gigabytes. In Windows, it's about 3.5. Even worse, you could theoretically have an 8 gig system running 32-bit Windows, which means there's 4 gigabytes of memory in your system that might as well be used as a drink coaster. Only 64-bit systems can address more than the 4 gigabytes of RAM. Finally, as far as Windows 10 is concerned, if you're running a 32-bit operating system like Windows 7 or 8 and perform an upgrade, Windows will give you the 32-bit version of Windows 10. If you want to move from 32-bit to 64-bit, you'll have to perform a clean installation, which means buying a copy of Windows 10. And then also there's some differences in the drivers for your hardware is if you're running 32 versus 64. So there is a difference, and you want to know which one you have. I'm not going to get into this too much, but Microsoft does reveal what it collects from your PC. In this article, it's a diagnostics collection, a privacy dashboard that you can turn things on and off. So if privacy is of concern and what you're sharing with Windows, you might want to go ahead and take a look at this article. I'm not really going to spend a lot of time on it because a lot has to do with your individual choices and what you want. But it's a good article to reference to know what Microsoft is collecting. Windows 10 tip, converting documents to a PDF. Way back when CFCS was meeting at one of the local high schools in Orlando, and we had just enlarged the size of the group by 1,000 people because Bill Gates came to present to CFCS. We had a meeting at one of the high schools, and at that meeting we had Adobe come and talk about Adobe Acrobat. And one of the things that they talked about, I need to clear my throat, hang on just a moment. One of the things they talked about was the Adobe Acrobat Reader that you could get, that you could read PDFs, but you couldn't save them. You couldn't convert to them. You had to buy the $400 or $500 program in order to create PDFs. And this has changed over the years because it's been many years, and apparently now it's in public domain on how to do that. So Microsoft now has, within Windows, has the ability to convert a document to a PDF. Here's a step-by-step guide. First, select the document. It can be a spreadsheet, it can be a document, whatever you're going to print, or whatever document you have, you want to choose to print it. And when you click to print, you need to choose the printer. Now, the default is your HP printer, your Brother printer, your any of the other printer brands that you may have. But one of the choices there is also the Microsoft Print to PDF. And you want to choose that. When you choose that, you're going to, and you have some, if you have some trouble, this is where the troubleshooting comes in. You can go there and look at it. But once you choose the Microsoft Print to PDF, when you tell it to print, I'm not sure if this article then shows you the screen. It doesn't. But what will happen is your printer screen will come up and it will ask you what size. There'll be some questions about the PDF file. And when you tell it save it, it'll ask for a name and where you want to locate the article or the spreadsheet or the document or whatever it is you're printing. You give it a name. You choose the location if you don't want it in the default location. And when you hit save, it then saves that article as a PDF. So it prints to a PDF. And that's how easy it is to get almost anything that you can print, you can save as a PDF. Now also, if you're using Windows Word, one of the choices is save as. Instead of saving it as a Word document, one of the choices is save it as a PDF. Same thing with the spreadsheets in Excel. And if you're using the OpenOffice or LibreOffice, I believe you can change the file type and change it and save it as a PDF as well. But anything that you print, you can print to PDF through the Microsoft Print to PDF and have a PDF file. Now, what is a PDF file? PDF stands for a portable document format. The purpose of it many years ago was if you had Word and saved a document and you used WordPerfect, you couldn't read the document. You couldn't print the document unless you had WordPerfect and had the printer drivers. You couldn't do these things. You couldn't mix and match programs and data. And so Adobe came up with Adobe Acrobat, which allowed you to save the document, make it so it not only could be saved, but it couldn't be tampered with. So it actually made it a legal document. And at least the courts accepted it as a legal document. And anyone who had the Adobe Acrobat anyone who had the Acrobat Reader could read the document, whether it was originally done in Word, WordPerfect, a spreadsheet program, or some other privately program. And so it made things a lot easier for everybody. It's now changed over the years. You can still buy the program. You can still buy the program to create Adobe Acrobat files or PDFs. There are other brands of programs that will create PDFs. And again, you can do it through Windows itself, or the Windows, or some of the Microsoft products, or other products that are out there. Okay, Book Creator for Chrome is here, but not only Book Creator for Chrome. Let me talk about Book Creator. It's a excuse me, it's a tool that teachers can use, but in user groups, we're all teachers. We're all teaching other people and showing things to other people. This is the website. Once you create an account, you can go to app.book creator. Oh, this is where this article is, but you can go to bookcreator.com and create a Chromebook, set up an account, or you can do it with Windows, but they are going to stop allowing you to use the Windows version, but there is an app for Android and one for iOS for Creator for Chrome. What I want to show you is a Chromebook, so you have an idea. I'm sorry, not a Chromebook, but a book creator that I created. So let's go back to the page and go to the link that I have. And I have created a book called Which Version of Windows 10 Do You Have? And I'm going to show you that book in just a second. There are 3 levels of the using Book Creator. There's a free version which allows you up to 40 books in a year. And you can have a student or a teacher account. If you're a teacher account, you can have 40 books in there. And that's free. And then I believe it's 100 books for a set amount per year. And then there's a more expensive one for many teachers. And I don't recall what the amount was off the top of my head right now. Let's take a look at this book that I have. Which version of Windows 10 do you have? The Windows 10 Fall Creators Update is scheduled to be released in October. To update, you should have the most current version. Let me remind you how to find which version you have installed. I flip the page, click again. You need to open Windows Settings. Go to the next page, click the sound. In Settings, click the Systems button. Flip the page, click the sound. On the Systems page, go to the section labeled About. Go to the next page, click the sound. Here is where you will find the information about the version and build that you have installed. Flip the page, click the sound. I have listed the various editions, versions, and operating system builds. In October, versions 1507 and 1511 will no longer be supported. You can see that I'm up to date with Windows 10 Pro version 1703, and the latest build was 15063.540. And scheduled for the 17th of this month will be the 1709 version of Windows 10 Pro, which is being called the Fall Creators Update. And then when I click and close it, you've reached the end of the book. I can read again by clicking here. And let's go back to the end. Flip the pages quickly. There's a link here to Book Creator. The actual Book Creator program is located here. And if you go to pricing, I'm sorry, I said 100 books. 40 books, it's free. You can create one library, store up to 40 books. So if you create 39 and you want a 40th, and then you want to add a 41st, you have to delete one to make room for it. For $60 a year, which is not very expensive, you can get up to 180 books and have 3 different libraries with up to 60 books in each, or $100 per teacher per year, create 10 libraries and have 1,000 books. So, and they're very easy to make. It's designed for teachers to be able to make the books or for students to make books. 3rd and 4th grade kids are creating books using Book Creator. And so if you want to get something across to a group of seniors or a group of people that you're using or you're training or something, and do it simply, take a look at Book Creator and see how easy it is to create a book. And again, which version of Windows 10 do you have? Oh, this is going to go back to my. Okay, so it just went back to. I didn't think I had a link to it, so I put one in this morning, and so I guess I did have one. And then online backup. I believe last month we talked a little bit about online backup, and I use something called iDrive, and there's several. And this is a good article that compares all of them. And I just wanted to give you the information so that you can go and research each of the articles. This is the table of contents. The best overall online backup was iDrive, and I think the article I showed last month didn't even include our iDrive. That's the one I use. I have used Carbonite. The only reason I use iDrive, there was a special price on it for 1 year, and then I got a special price again for a 2nd year. They did send me a 3 terabyte hard drive, portable drive, which I backed up. You can back up to 5 computers on the one account. I backed up 3 computers, sent it to them. They then, instead of having to go through the internet to load all the information, which takes a tremendous amount of time when you've got a lot of data to back up, they did it within about a week, had it all up online, and now every time I back up, it goes out and says, okay, these are the new items. Okay, we'll update those, and within 15 minutes to half an hour every night, my items on my hard drive, additional and new files and updated files, get backed up to iDrive out in the cloud. Carbonite, Blackblaze, and so on, they work very similar to that as well. And then the article also includes what to look for in online storage and backup. So this is a great article to reference. You might want to look at each of the backup services, on the prices, what they include, read some reviews on them to decide which one you want to use. And with that, Stan, I don't see Stan on there anymore. We must have lost him somewhere along the way. So at this point, I'm going to end, unless there's any questions from the online audience. Appreciate you joining me. Glowing Blue Mist, if you would privately chat to me to give me your name and what group you're with, or if you're with a group, and if not, what city you're in, just so I know who's been on. And I appreciate you joining us. For all those others that are online, thank you so much for being here. And with that, we're going to call it a day at the Windows Special Interest Group for Sunday, October 8th, 2017.